Tonight on KGW News.
Have you seen Portland at all?
Yet another signal from the president. The feds have the Rose City on their list. Plus,
hopefully this will be over soon. I will miss my babies. Please take care of them.
An update on the Portland mother taken into ICE custody and forced to leave her kids behind. Then, how a firefighting crew is pulling for a hotshot colleague hit by a falling tree.
Chris always brings a smile, always brings light to the situation.
And later, as summer turns to fall, Friday nights are heating up. From Camas to Hillsborough, Orlando has all your high school highlights. Well, a very good evening, everyone. We want to get right to breaking news and a shooting in Portland's Montavilla neighborhood. Tonight, we're learning 2 people were hurt, though both are expected to survive. Shots were fired around 8 this evening near Southeast 82nd and Harrison. A witness telling us he heard dozens of shots says this happened during a vigil for a person who was killed yesterday in the exact same spot.
And very loud, and it was rapid fire, one a second. And then I heard women screaming, and then another round of bullets, and then police and fire showed up.
No word on any suspects or arrests. We, of course, will update you if we learn more. In an update this evening, we are learning more about a Portland mother and grandmother arrested at the Canadian border and who've been sitting in ICE detention for months. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Almost sounds like their case is getting a bit of renewed attention with a hearing in the nation's capital.
Yeah, David, you may recall this began at the beginning of June, or the end of June, I should say, when the Merlos family went up to Peace Arch Park on the Canadian border. The mom, Jackie, originally from Honduras, and 4 young American-born children were then detained for weeks before lawmakers and lawyers stepped in.
My name is Mimi Letnich. I'm an entrepreneur, a wife, and a mother of 2 sons. Today I'm here to talk about another mother, my dear friend Jackie.
For the past 2 months, Mimi Letnich has been the caregiver of Jackie Merlot's 4 children.
9-year-old triplets, Carlos, David, and Abby, and their 7-year-old little brother, Jeffrey.
They came to stay with her in her Portland home following a trip up to Peace Arch Park to picnic with family earlier this summer. A trip that would end in detention for Merlos, her husband, and her mother, visiting from Honduras.
As they said goodbye, agents moved in and arrested them.
Customs and Border Protection claimed Merlos had been attempting to, quote, smuggle illegal aliens into the U.S., and said initially the children remained with the mother at her request in Border Patrol custody. 2 weeks after their disappearance, Letnich, with the assistance of Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, located Merlos and her U.S.-born children. Dexter walked into the CBP facility, she said, to see them praying.
I cannot describe what that impression left on me. These 4 small children in probably a 10 by 10 windowed cell, soundproof glass, gray cement bench that they were kneeling on with thin mats on the floor and a toilet in the corner. It is absolutely insane that this is what we have done to this family.
Letnich, able to retrieve the children mid-July, shared with lawmakers some of what they told her.
Agents interrogated the children without Jackie. They were asked, where did they live? Did they have any money? Did they have relatives? Did they have a father? Shortly thereafter, ICE took their dad. The children believe that was their fault.
She says in the car back to Portland, the kids gave her a coloring book with a message from her friend.
Jackie had written me a note in the inside cover. Mimi, thank you for everything. Hopefully this will be over soon. I will miss my babies. Please take care of them. This is so hard.
Lawmakers this week said Merlos, her husband Carlos, and her mother, Juana, remain in immigration detention. However, we were unable to confirm those specifics with ICE. They did not get back to us. David?
Well, still, we appreciate your efforts and the follow-up tonight. Thank you, Alma.
Have you seen Portland at all? Have you taken a look at what's happening in Portland? It's, I mean, this has been going on for years. It's just people out of control. crazy. We're going to stop that very soon.
Well, tonight, what appears to be a renewed promise from President Trump to send National Guard troops to the Rose City. The president's comments came today in the Oval Office as reporters asked him about his decision to label Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Also follows his announcement that Memphis and Chicago are the next cities where troops will be deployed to, in his words, curb violence. Now, here in the Northwest, Oregon's governor and Portland's mayor and many others have repeatedly pushed back on any suggestion of sending in the military. At this point, though, it's unclear if the president intends to follow through. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, a man convicted of sexually assaulting 3 women learned today he'll spend the next several decades in jail. Former MMA fighter Zachary Andrews was sentenced to 50 years in prison. He was convicted earlier this year of strangling, assaulting, and raping 3 women who were homeless inside their tents. The judge noting the perpetrator's lack of remorse.
The testimony that you gave at trial showed a lack of empathy, a lack of compassion.
Andrews acknowledged his actions and apologized, though prosecutors say it was too little, too late. In Vancouver, police say a 6-year-old boy has now died after an impaired driver crashed into him and his father Wednesday afternoon. This was near 137th and 64th as Jose Quevedo Sanchez was walking his son Joshua home from the bus stop. Jose died at the scene. Joshua went to the hospital but later succumbed to his injuries. Police arrested 73-year-old James Paulson. He's now charged with 2 counts of vehicular homicide and 1 count of DUI. And healthcare workers at Kaiser Permanente in Oregon and Southwest Washington have voted to authorize a strike. The Oregon Federation of Nurses and Health Professionals says 97% of its members approve the action. The union says it's most concerned about staffing levels and working conditions. Meanwhile, Kaiser Permanente says it meets and often exceeds nurse-to-patient ratios. The union could give a 10-day strike notice anytime after the current contract expires at the end of this month. Let's take a live look over Portland tonight on this final Friday of summer, and true to the season, what a gorgeous night it has turned out to be. Chief Meteorologist Matt Sfino here with the first look at your weekend. Happy Friday, Matt.
Thanks, David. Yeah, it is a beautiful night out there after a beautiful day today. In fact, it ended like this with just a fantastic sunset, completely clear. So we didn't get a lot of color because there wasn't any cloud to reflect it. But the point is it was clear and less hazy compared to yesterday. You can see the Bear Gulch fire in the Olympic Peninsula. Most of that smoke now heading across the Puget Sound into points east, not much of it drifting south into the Willamette Valley like it did yesterday. And because of that, our air quality has recovered and is in the good category. But up in Washington, not necessarily the case. Chehalis and Vashon Island, both in the unhealthy category, and lots of yellow in eastern Washington, from the fires that are burning east of the Washington Cascades. But good news for everybody in the Northwest. So we go into Sunday, that cold front is going to bring us rain. It's going to push all that smoke farther to the east and thin it out. So we're doing fine, but everybody will be doing a lot better come Sunday. We've got sunshine tomorrow. Sunday, some morning showers. That'll make it our 4th weekend in a row, believe it or not, with at least a little bit of rain. But the first day of fall is Monday, and that is looking just fine, as is much of next week. More on that later, David.
Yeah, sounds like good news all around. Thanks, Matt. This evening, we are hearing from the friend of a hotshot firefighter who was injured in Lane County while battling the immigrant fire. Chris Stash, a member of the Zigzag Hotshots, was working on the fire back on September 8th when a tree fell on him, causing serious injuries. His crew stabilized him before he was airlifted to the hospital. His friend and fellow firefighter says Chris is now conscious and speaking, but has surgeries and rehab ahead. Though he tells us Chris is hopeful he will one day be able to return to the fire lines.
We'll be in really crappy ground sometimes, or something that's super steep and in tough terrain, and Chris is there like smiling, like literally beaming from like ear to ear, and he'll look at you and he'll say, "This is our office."
GoFundMe has been set up to help with medical expenses. We have a link to that up for you at kgw.com.